positive experience in nature. The Craftsbury Outdoor Center is a community recreation center that I and many others have found a lot of value in, and it seemed like the perfect place for my mural to be. So this led me to my final research question of, can I create a mural that highlights the values of the Craftsbury Outdoor Center, specifically drawing from participants' perspectives? No one has created a mural with direct input from the community at the Craftsbury Outdoor Center in the design process, and this is bridging a gap by creating this mural. As I began my project, I had many expectations that it would be a community project, that when it was finished, it could be a celebration and a piece of art that held the collective values of this place. So my method consisted of two different parts. First, gathering information through a survey from the community on what they value the most about the ski center and using that data to create the themes of my mural. And second, the design and painting process of the mural. A study that I referenced to help guide me while designing this mural was Hutzelt's mural project that I discussed earlier. So her methods were she asked 20 youth to draw their idea of community, and then she conducted interviews on the youth's perception of the community. The drawings and interviews found three main themes. This was safety, greenery, and cleanliness. These things were the youth's hope for their community. This is a clear example of a method that is heavily reliant on the community's input for the theme of the mural. While my methods are not identical because I used a survey instead of her method of interviews and drawings, they have the same goal of having the community's values represented and having the community help in the design process. The survey I designed was sent out to as many people as possible who were part of the Outdoor Center community and was available to fill out for 1 month. I received 45 responses. The first question had them rank the top 3 things that they valued the most about the Outdoor Center from a preset list. The items that were chosen the most determined what the main themes of the mural would be. So here in this graph, we can see the values that people could choose from, and the top 4 values that people chose were social connection at 66%, being in nature and in the outdoors, 66%, the ski programming, 64%, and environmental sustainability focus, which is 53%. These were the 4 main themes that I designed the mural around. We can see also in this graph that the biathlon and schooling programs were noted as important, and I'm going to discuss later about how I incorporated these things into the mural. Another question of the survey that helped me pick the details I would include in the mural was a question about what images and moments the person associated their value of the center with the most. The question was, can you describe a specific moment where you felt most connected to this community? This could be an image, a moment, or a memory. This question was a free response question, so I got a lot of varying responses, but I analyzed what answers reoccurred the most. The things that were repeatedly mentioned were everyone cheering on people at ski races, volunteering at ski races, the porch of the touring center, which the touring center is the main ski lodge where people often congregate, dressing up in costumes for races, and playing games on skis with friends, such as dodgeball was mentioned a few times. These 5 aspects make up the details of the mural because they were mentioned the most, as well as representing the 4 main themes that were identified in the earlier question in the survey. In this table, we can see how the moments were sorted and categorized and the frequency was noted. After I had collected and analyzed my data, I began sketching. For the design process, I sketched out the different scenes I wanted to include and rearranged them until I had a cohesive image that highlighted my main themes. I then sketched the final image, and from here I began working on the 4 by 8 foot piece of plywood that the mural was going to be on and then later mounted. This is the final mural. As we can see, the 4 main themes are represented by the specific images chosen based on the data. In the upper middle, we can see the touring center, with people congregating on the porch and hanging out. This is a central building, and it can be representative of the social connection at the center. On top of the building, we can see the solar panels, highlighting the outdoor center's focus on sustainability. Behind the building, there are snow-covered trees, which further is highlighting the appreciation of nature and being outdoors that this community holds. In the foreground on the left, we can see a ski race passing by with people cheering. This is meant to emphasize the support among the community around skiing. On the right, there's a big pile of snow, with kids skiing down it, as well as a dodgeball fight happening in the foreground. This is highlighting the role that games and having fun plays in this community. Some other details in this mural show smaller but still important aspects of the center. For example, here on the right, we can see a small pile of logs, highlighting the forestry conservation focus the center has. The other important piece of this mural is the side panels. These images are used to represent the same things discussed above, but in more detail. As I mentioned earlier, some of the non-winter sports, the biathlon and sculling programs were voted on as being important. So they represent some of the non-winter sports offered at the Outdoor Center. Biking and running were two other activities mentioned in the survey. So that is why I chose for these 4 panels to each have one of these things, where we can see the rower, a biker, runners, and the biathlete. The other 2 panels I chose to use to represent the social aspect of the center. In this panel, 2 skiers are dressed up in costumes going off jumps. On the left, we can see this. Often the center holds fun races where everyone is dressed up in costumes, and the race course consists of jumps and fun features to go off. These events focus on enjoying time outside and connecting with others. In this panel on the right, we can see young skiers dressed up in costumes holding up the flag for the opening parade of a big ski festival in New England called the BKL Festival. Many kids from the Outdoor Center choose to go to this festival because it shares many of the same values as the center, promoting fun and games while being outside on skis with friends. There are many different styles of murals. My goal for the mural I made was to incorporate elements from specific murals while creating a unique and different style. The first mural I chose to draw elements from, we can see here on the right, is The Great Wall, painted by Judy Baca. This is just one section of the mural. It is a very large mural, but we can see how it uses bright colors to draw attention to specific parts. There are many different scenes included in this mural as well, and we can see how they're blended together well to create an overall sense of unity and flow. In the mural I painted, we can see how I focused on using these types of bright colors in the people's jackets, as well as having multiple things going on while still being one cohesive image. The second mural I chose to draw elements from, we can see on the left, is The Best of Both Worlds. Painted by artist Tar Guru, this mural captures the beauty of winter. The detail on the snow-covered trees and well-placed shadow on the snow provide a great reference for me, as my mural was mostly a winter scene. The pops of color seen in the skiers' jackets and the air balloon make this image a more fun and interesting composition. When painting my mural, I thought about how I could include these bright colors to add more color variety. This mural's implication on the community include many different pieces, including a shared sense of unity, a celebration of the arts, and recognizing the value of the place. As I discussed earlier from my research, community murals have the potential to create long-lasting positive impact on a community. This piece of art will be displayed at the ski center and will serve as a representation and a celebration of the community. Since I'm part of this community, I included pieces of the mural that maybe someone who doesn't spend as much time there would not fully understand the value and meaning of. For example, there's a shared costume box that people in the club use for fun races. There are a few costumes that are very recognizable. As we can see here in this side panel, the pineapple costume is one that is very popular. I hope that the community notices and appreciates these small details that identify our unique community from others. Another place we can see this is in the image of the 2 volunteers alongside the ski race seen here. Many members of the community will recognize the green volunteer bibs and see themselves represented in the mural and really have a deeper connection to it. Future artists and researchers can look at this project as an inspiration and reference of how one might engage and create art within their community. More specifically, I hope that the Outdoor Center community is inspired to work on more art projects around their community. Analyzing other community murals helped me see how mine contributes to the professional conversation through its focus on community involvement and representation. Like the murals I studied, mine reflects the values of the community, but it also offers a new perspective because it's highlighting a new community. At the beginning of this project, I had many expectations, some of which did not happen. Originally, I had planned on including the community in the painting of the mural. If I'd had the time, I would have set up multiple community paint days where anybody could have come and helped paint. I was unable to do this due to time constraints, so I focused my community engagement in the design process of the mural. A further limitation of this project can be seen in the survey data collection and analysis. Since many of the questions were open response in the survey, I ended up getting a wide variety of answers. They were very individualized, and it made it hard to group them into themes. As seen in the table I showed earlier that categorized the moments, I was able to find these reoccurring images and moments, but the frequency was not very high, since the answers had a wide variety. Ideally, the survey would have had more responses and the trends in data would have been clearer. I've learned so much throughout this process, and I'm ready to use this new understanding from painting this mural and perspective to continue to make community art that captures and represents the community in their shared identities. Thank you, and all my sources are available upon request.
Did you face any limitations when navigating the Craftsbury Outdoor Center administration? And if so, how did you navigate them?
Limitations in the creation of the mural, if they would be willing to have it there? Yeah, so the Outdoor Center was very supportive of this project. They're really supportive of the arts, and I've been there, training there, and been a part of that community for a long time, so they were really excited that I wanted to do this project, and it was really a way that I could give back to my community, because it has done so much for me. So yeah, there was no issues in this project.
How long did it take you to actually paint it?
Yeah, so the painting process took about 3 weeks, which ideally I would have had more time. I definitely spent a lot of time every day working on this, but yeah, it took me about 3 weeks to do the whole thing.
I was wondering, have you gotten a sense, after you finished the mural, how your community has, responded to it and, how it's reacted to it?
Yeah, so I haven't quite hung the mural up yet. I'm planning to do so in the next coming weeks, but I have shown a lot of people in my community the mural, and they're really excited and seem to notice the things that I wanted them to, and pointing out specific images, and they feel like it really represents the cohesive and fun energy that the center holds.
What was the greatest challenge you faced throughout your research process?
Yeah, so something that was challenging was taking the data from the survey. So I had these themes and moments and really making it into a cohesive image and painting that I thought looked nice. So I really had a lot of choices on where I decided to place things. I decided to do the side panels, and that was really, took a lot of trial and error to try to get from this data that I had to an image that I thought would represent the community.
Where specifically do you plan to put this, on the building?
Yeah, so I'm planning on putting it in the touring center, which is the big brown building, and it's going to be in a central spot as you're walking up the stairs so that people entering can see, and yeah.
What was the biggest problem you faced when you were actively painting the mural?
Yeah, so I found it challenging to work with a mainly white background. Since this was a snow landscape, I wanted to add detail and variance in the snow, and I tried to really add this blue and purple shadows in the snow, so it created more depth and a more 3D effect, which can be seen in the hill and in the shadows of the skiers.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I have a comment and a question. My comment is, I know Craftsbury Outdoor Center pretty well, and I know their model is that those who ski there, and certainly who are supported quasi-professionally, are expected to make a contribution to that community. And that's very consistent with our insistence that students, or at least our request, that students find a way to make our community better, the Athenian Oath. So congratulations, you've done that here, and I think that's beautiful. My question is, as a somewhat conservative science teacher, is there a project like this that I might be able to include into my work in your opinion? And do you have any suggestions for how I might go about it?
Yeah, thank you. And I think that's really cool that you're thinking about how you can incorporate this type of community involvement into your curriculum. I think if you were leaning towards a more like artistic project, I think it could be cool to, try to have the students help design and brainstorm what their community needs, whether it be a mural or like something that is filling a gap in this community or any community that your students are part of. And then I think really the importance is on collaboration within the community. So really I would encourage you, if you were going to work with your students, to get everybody in the community to participate and really cast a wider net so more people can participate and it can become a community event.
I have a question, actually. You mentioned that you learned a lot about community building through this process, so I was curious what communities you plan to take your artistic community building to in the future?
Yeah, so I'm obviously a senior, and so I'm not going to be here at this specific community at the Outdoor Center in the coming years, but I live in Craftsbury, and I spend the summers there, and I hope to continue to make art there, as well as when I go to college, bringing that community focus on collaboration into that space, and I think for the rest of my life as well.